The Walt Disney Company desperately needs to invest in their U.S. parks, and they just pitched DisneylandForward to the citizens of Anaheim. The only problem is they're offering to spend billions less than they originally promised. Are they hoping citizens of Anaheim won't notice? Let's talk about that on That Park Place. I'm Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, where we talk about streaming, theme parks, entertainment, and video games. Let's get into it. Disneyland Anaheim proposes a $2 billion plus development deal. That's a lot of money, guys, $2 billion. The Disneyland Resort will commit to spending more than $2 billion in Anaheim over the next decade. That is 10 years, guys, under a new development agreement proposed today with the city of Anaheim as part of its Disneyland Forward plan. Let's just say the minimum is $1.9 billion, and the maximum the maximum guaranteed in the contract is $2.4 billion. We could read through all of this right here, or we could just take them at their word. 1.9 billion, $2 billion over 10 years. Does anybody remember how much Disney said they were going to be spending on the theme parks over the next 10 years?
$60 billion.
$60 billion over 10 years. Over 10 parks, that would be, $6 billion, and divided over 10 years. By the way, when I say 10 parks, I'm not including the China park, not the China parks,
the Japanese.
The Japan parks. Mm-hmm. The Japan parks are owned by someone else, and they have a license for the name, so I'm not counting them.
Correct. Oriental Land Company.
Basically, that's $600 million per park per year. So they're saying, guys, we promise you, we will spend. Let's just do the math here. 2 parks in California, $100 million per year on each park over there, if you guys agree to let us do whatever we want with this land. A whole $100 million a year from the Walt Disney Company, guys. Isn't that amazing?
2.5 over 10 years of that $60 billion is 4.16%. Yes. Remember, the floor is 1.9, which is 3.16%. That's how much we're getting. Culture, I'm going to have you take point on this because I know you're leaving here pretty soon. Were you as distraught as I was about this?
Wow. I was nonplussed. Look, I'm going to tell you, I've not been impressed with anything Disney's done in a long time. We knew the bulk of the spending was going to happen in Asia. We know the bulk of the spending won't happen until the second half of this decade they keep talking about. They basically are talking to you about a refurbishment budget. That's right. All this is. $1.9 billion is refurbishment budgets for several attractions. There's not going to be new attractions, and if there are, they'll just be redressed ones, similar to what they're going to do to Rock and Roller Coaster, apparently. In rumored form.
Right. Well, if I can just point this out, if you go to the proxy statement, and who doesn't love a good proxy statement?
I love them. Okay,
just look down here. They're talking about the strong performance that they've had over the last year. $32.5 billion that they have in revenue and $9 billion in full year segment operating income. Let's see. If you back out $9 billion from $32.5 billion to get how much they spend running these parks, let's go over here to a tweet that I have, which has an error in it, but we'll see. We'll see if we can all spot it. It cost Disney $23.5 billion to run their parks. That's $2.3 billion per park per year, or $235 billion over 10 years. So why is $60 billion over 10 years impressive? I would like to know where the billions of dollars that they were going to spend supposedly on their original park over there at Disneyland, and of course Disney's California Adventure. It sounds like they're freeing up all those funds to be spent in other parks, and it does not sound like they're spending that at Walt Disney World unless it's on DVC. So $230 billion over 10 years, and they're over here in California saying, guys, we're going to spend an entire $2 billion here if you just let us do what we want.
This is less than the Walt Disney Company was setting aside for Westcott back in 1991. They were setting aside $3 billion just for that. That was 30 years ago. $2.5 billion over 10 years, and they can easily get out of that by paying a $5 million fee to the city of Anaheim and get it down as low as $1.9 billion. This is absolutely nothing. It is a joke. 4%. We're not even good for 5%. Meanwhile, Disneyland and Disney California Adventure represent 25% of the overall attendance for all of Disney's parks worldwide that they have a controlling interest in, like the 10 parks that we're speaking about. 25%. And we only get 5% here? This is a joke. Come on. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is, I mean, we're going to develop, what, 150 acres with this money? I mean, the Grand Californian back in 2001 when that opened, that was $600 million by itself. And again, this money is being allocated towards not just theme park use, which is what they're citing here, but also DVCs, hotels. I mean, the hotel inventory for Disneyland has been very insufficient for decades now, having only 3 hotels versus how many hotels that Walt Disney World has? They have over 45,000 rooms over there. So to compare and contrast here, I mean, we're talking. This is a couple hotels. They're already talking about expanding their DVC footprint out in Anaheim specifically. Part of this Disneyland Forward eliminates some of the red tape associated with that, so you know that's where they're going. I mean, after all said and done, what are we getting here? I mean, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge by itself was $1 billion.
I was hoping you would point that out. Yes, $2 billion for 2 Galaxy's Edges. Galaxy's
Correct.
Edge. Sorry, there's a plural on Galaxy's there, not Edge.
Right. Cosmic Rewind was at least $500 million, if not more.
It was closer to 700 million. So yeah,
right.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at what they did with Avatar. Avatar, that area, Pandora area, was $1 billion. I mean, you know, and you know that only reason that looks as good as it does, and it doesn't look as crappy as Galaxy's Edge does, is because Lightstorm was involved in that on the daily,
heavily. Yes.
So, you know, it's very disappointing. Also, it had Joe Rohde attached to it, so you can't
that's a big one right there.
But I mean, it's funny because if you're not a parks geek or a Disney nerd or any of this other stuff, this will all be lost on you. But when you start to talk about these numbers and compare them to things like Vash just did, disappointing. You could not be more disappointed. He wasn't overstating it. To me, it's just par for the course, and I'll just sit back and go, all right, whatever.
Now, I would say that when you throw around a number like $2 billion, I would say, Kara, does that sound like a lot of money?
Yes.
I would think.
To me.
It does to me too. And I bet to the people of Anaheim, that sounds like a lot of money. And I think this is Disney trying to pull one over on the citizens of Anaheim and say, you cannot fathom this amount of money. So therefore, it's a lot of money. So you really need to sign on the dotted line here and let us do whatever we want to do with your land. To heck be the consequences. Would you be offended if you found out that Disney was trying to do something like that?
I think so. That might get a little bit of people up in arms here, which, by the way, as part of this new information is brought forward by Disneyland Forward here. This is during like the comment and notice period right here.
Oh, would you like to know? See, this is the next question I was going to ask. If anybody had seen Parks and Rec and saw their very wonderful and mostly accurate depictions of what a public comment period looks like. TheLaughingPlace.com, thank you so much for posting this. You can't fight City Hall, but you can go back to Anaheim, one for another, hashtag Disneyland Forward City Council meeting starting at 3 p.m. The Anaheim City Council has convened and Disneyland Forward workshop is begun. He talks about they talk about the presentation. I don't know which writer it is from Laughing Place that's doing this, but they're talking about how the land is going to be used. But then they get down here. This takes a long time. Here we go. Public comment section has begun. There are 60 people who are waiting to make a 3-minute comment. First comment comparing Disneyland Forward project to Walt Disney World in Florida. Will this project be changed over time as what happened with the Westcott that became California Adventure? I think this is almost a done deal. All this is a dog and pony show. That's I bet they took more than 3 minutes to say that, but I appreciate the summary here and also Vash's history of Westcott there just a minute ago. Next comment: our city is facing a great injustice. We have an unimaginable chasm between the rich executives and the front of line workers. Disney defaulted completely on certain items from the previous agreement. There is a complete lack of transparency. To deny workers a living wage is to deny them their humanity. Stand with us against the building of a Disney World in a residential community. It's mind-boggling to me that you are even considering this. Yikes.
So let me push back on that, because if I were on the council, I'd say, look, the residential community grew up around the theme park.
Correct.
The theme park grew up in an orange grove. There was nothing here. There were strawberry fields over there. That's also stuff that Disney bought. This was a agricultural area that Disney turned into a theme park. You decided to build houses here. It's the same thing as, when there's an airport somewhere and you build a house near the airport, you're going to hear the airplanes. Anyway,
right.
Again, there's lots of easy pushback here, especially on people who are this ignorant. But there's a lot of stuff in there that they're absolutely right about. And on that note, I do have to step out, but I'll just say this. It isn't unlike Disney to not fulfill obligations or promises that they've made. They always have wiggle room on the way out. So
they absolutely do.
Yeah, I'll see you guys. Keep talking, and I appreciate it. You're amazing.
Even before the actual spice here, I just need to point that out. So we've got more to come here.
Jonas, we save this for
just
last.
one more. Just one more. Jonas, read it quick, Jonas. Read it quick. It's the one right above the avatars there.
Right, Control F for prostitute here. Let's see.
I always thought that Anaheim was Disney's favorite prostitute. That's right up there. That's up top, Jonas.
Yeah, you just
up here.
Yeah, it's right there. Another comment.
Right there.
Yeah, right here. This one. Another comment. I always thought that Anaheim was Disney's favorite prostitute.
It's true.
That's ridiculous. This is a city council meeting.
But that's a true statement, right? And look, for somebody who's paid attention for this a long time, and look, there's a lot of secret land that Disney owns, and Vash and I can go on for days if we talk about that ever on a stream or a video. But it's just Disney owns a lot of stuff in that area on purpose in a very stealthy way. They've done it for a long time. It took forever for them to have it revealed that they owned the carousel before they, that was public. But just understand, Disney is very underhanded in Anaheim because the city has had varying periods where the city council did not like Disney, and then they basically funded all the people. So then everybody on the city council loved Disney, and then those people got promptly removed. So Disney's always trying to politically fight to be able to do things that no other company is allowed to do in Anaheim. And we'll just leave it there. I mean, there was a period of time where the city just outlaid a ton of money just to make the area around Disney more palatable.
Billions.
And it didn't do anything for the residents of Anaheim. So anyway, I got to go. I love you guys.
Thank you very much, Culture.
Stick around here till they're
Enjoy
done.
the H-Cast.
You betcha.
Thank you.
All right. These kind of things when they're open up to public comment, and we're looking forward to the shareholders meeting, which is about as close to public comment as you're going to get. That's going to be streaming on the Valiant Renegade channel. There are other comments here. I feel like my home is threatened. I feel like nobody is going to speak up for me or my neighbors who have the misfortune of living near Disneyland. I don't want to spend my life being angry. As a city, we still lack the very basics of transparency. This commenter is remarking on the city of Anaheim having to build pedestrian bridges across Harbor Boulevard. The problem with the consequences of this project is that they fall on the residents. So
I will sympathize a little bit here. The transparency argument for sure. I mean, if we're going to be committed to $1.9 billion investment, that should be a very public thing there. Usually, it hasn't always been that way. So transparency, yeah, for sure. The pedestrian bridges, that's there to alleviate traffic. I think that will improve the city of Anaheim's residents there for sure, especially along Harbor Boulevard. There's supposed to be a street widening for Catella, for example, right? They're going to be extending a sewer line and doing a lot of infrastructural improvements. I believe it's like a $90 million package on just those things, not even counting the 17,000 space parking structure. That's going to be well over $200 million probably. So, you're getting some stuff there for sure. But this idea, I agree with Culture. It's like, look, if you set up right next to an airport, you're going to hear the planes. If you set up right next to Disneyland, you're going to hear the fireworks at 9 o'clock at night. You're going to hear, you're going to have that traffic in the mornings and at night when people leave the park and stuff like that. That's going to happen, and this is all consistent with a lot of the EIR report that was originally published and approved back in the 1990s. So it's all consistent with that. Go.
Disney leases to own Mickey and Friends structure for $1 a year that we, the taxpayers, paid $100 million for. Still charging $35 to park, though. Ouch.
Yeah, they. This is what culture was talking about back in the 1990s. There was a lot of scandals going around with city council members that Disney was giving free tickets to in order to influence their votes and so forth. This kind of strong arm deal with the Mickey and Friends parking structure, 10,000 space parking structure, one of the largest on the Western Hemisphere, by the way, when it opened, and the city paid for it, and then they leased it back to Disney for $1 a year. Crazy stuff. It's just been, a little back and forth right here, and this really needs to change. So
that's the kind of thing that works well when you control all of the entities, not what you do when you are working with a public-private partnership. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you think Disney is trying to pull a fast one on Anaheim, or is there something else going on here? Tell us your thoughts because we would love to know. This clip was part of our now regular Thursday live stream, which starts at noon Eastern Time. Of course, if you're not in that time zone, just hit the notification bell if you'd like YouTube to tell you when that is. Like this video if you like this video. If you know someone who is as interested as we are in this kind of thing, then maybe you should share the link with them. And of course, please consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.